What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jason with JCS Reefing, and in this video I'm going to take this 10-gallon ATO container and I'm going to try to use some 3D printed parts that you can see right here to basically kind of turn it into a Kalkwasser stirrer. It's not going to be 100% because I'm not going to have ATO water feeding it, but this will actually kick on and, as you can see, stir up some of the solution in hopes to basically just get a higher potency of Kalkwasser. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible. And I've already taken a few steps because some of them are pretty self-explanatory. But basically I bought a motor off of Amazon. This is 100 revolutions per minute, and then drilled some holes in the top of the lid that goes onto the top-off container. Then I also bought a potentiometer. What this does is it allows me to speed it up or speed it down depending on how I want it to mix. It did come with this toggle switch as well to turn it on and off, but since this is going to go on my apex and basically kick on a little bit before the dosing starts, or 2 or 3 times, 4 times, 6 times, whatever it might be during the day to kind of stir up the bottom of the container. Then I 3D printed a box, drilled some holes in it. So basically the potentiometer and wiring is all going to be inside of this box like so. And then I'm going to have a lid on it like that. And then all the wires are going to be inside of here. The next thing I needed was a power supply, so I actually ripped this off of an old baby monitor and then put some jumpers onto these little connectors. Now this isn't mandatory, but this is going to be easy for me to unplug it and clean out the lid and clean out the top-off container as needed. Let's see. And I also got some of these nifty connectors, and then you use a heat gun and it basically solders all your wires together, so you don't have to fuss around with soldering anymore. And then some shrink tube, and then basically bought these off of Amazon. These are the male and female connectors, just kind of make it a little more professional. A couple screwdrivers, some wire cutters, and I made a jumper just in case I need a jumper for something. Basically on the bottom of this potentiometer, you can see has plus minus for power and plus and minus for the motor. So your power is going to go into here and it's going to go out to your motor. So let's get started on wiring it. Now I'll probably speed this up in the video, but anyway, let's get to it. Now all you can see is basically this is going to go to my motor. This is going to be the power, which is negative, positive, and then negative, positive. So you just need to make sure that you have all your positive and negatives. As you can see on this little wire, you have a little marking. That's your negative. So this is going to go to the power cord, which is this. And this is simply just so I can unplug it and clean the top off, or not top off, the Kalkwasser container when it gets kind of nasty. Put this through here. So as far as wiring, this one is actually not needed. I just put a jumper on there in case I needed that, but I actually do not. So I'm going to put this in here like so. And you can kind of see. Now this is completely wired. I'm going to put the nut on this to stop it. And then the potentiometer knob, which this is completely If you wanted to buy a motor, you could buy a motor that was the same revolutions per minute and not use a potentiometer and just do positive negative to the motor. But in my case, I want to be able to adjust the speed. So let's next step is to basically connect this to the motor, and then finally put on the mixer. Now once I have all the power connected, it's time to try it out. One thing I will note that I actually do as I say, not as I do, but I mixed up these 2 points. So definitely be sure this is actually the one that goes to the power. This is the one that goes to the motor. I had them switched in the beginning, so I fixed that. And then also, because I bought a reversible module, you actually have to have this switch plugged in. The reason being is because this switch, you can have the motor rotate one way, and you can click the switch to the other way and reverse the motor. So this is what the finished product basically looks like. I did make a few changes, one being the mixer itself. I was trying to use this part, put it at the bottom and have it mix up the slurry, but it was pretty bulky, and it actually, even though I printed this shaft in 100% infill with the 3D printer, it would still wobble quite a bit to the point where it would start going real crazy and knock the lid off. So that was something I didn't take into consideration. So I went with a little smaller of a mixer and have it a little bit off of the ground. You can see there's some particles on the ground right here, and once I turn this on, you'll see that it definitely will do its job of stirring stuff up. As far as the top, I can go forward, clockwise, counterclockwise, and off. The potentiometer knob is here for speed. You have the motor right here. That's all basically epoxied and closed up right there. To get it out, basically just lift it out. A couple things I need to change out are these metal screws right here. I need to go to nylon simply because I don't want any rust to go dripping into this container, as well as the shaft of the motor. I will probably epoxy coat that as well. So plugging it in is pretty simple. You just plug it into this port right here. And then basically for this, I want it to go counterclockwise. So I basically do that. And I can go from basically nothing to a nice slow mix if I want to. And you can watch the particles on the bottom. As I increase the speed, those particles definitely start moving, and they actually get picked up and they actually get brought up kind of towards the surface of the water. If I wanted to go the other way, I could always just reverse it and go the opposite direction. So yeah, that's pretty much the finished product. I'm not fully decided if I'm going to leave it full blast, mix it all the slurry up, and then dose throughout the night or whenever I choose to do so, or have it just on a slower setting for a few hours a day. But yeah, I'll play around with that once the time comes to get this into the tank. But that is pretty much it for now. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, and happy reefing. Cheers.